I'm Nicole. I work at Milano Music, and today I'm going to be running through the basics with the cello. This is where the bow is located in the case. Normally, I take it out last, once my cello is already unpacked. So first off, this is how you take the cello out of its case. First, you unzip it from the bottom up, and then grab the side handle and lift off. You set the case off to the side and lay the cello down on its side next to you. Alright, to start playing the cello, what we want to do is first adjust the end pin so that way the cello sits comfortably on you. Pick up the cello by one hand on the upper C-bout and then another hand on the bottom of the neck. Go ahead and set it on your lap, just like this. And then you can unscrew this screw right here at the very bottom of the cello. And then you can adjust the end pin to your height. And screw it back in to tighten it. And then get ready to play. Alright, so let's talk about the parts of the cello. First of all, this is the scroll, the peg box, the pegs, which are used for more major tuning issues, the strings, and the fingerboard. And the strings lead us to the bridge and the tailpiece, which have the fine tuners on them, which are used for minor adjustments in tuning. And then lastly, we have the F-holes, which is where the sound comes out. Alright, so next let's talk about the bow. This is the tip of the bow. This is the frog of the bow. This little part right here tightens and loosens the bow. And this is the hair. You want to be careful not to touch the bow hair as much as possible, okay? Because there's little hooks on the horsehair, and if you touch it, then those little hooks kind of go away, and then it makes it really difficult to play your instrument. Okay, so to tighten and loosen the bow, what you want to do is hold the bow so that way the frog is in your right hand, and then you take this little part and turn it away from you, maybe 2 or 3 turns. And you want to only be able to fit like a pencil within the middle of the bow, in between the horsehair and the stick. You don't want to tighten it too much because that would put a lot of strain on the bow hair. So you should be seated with your instrument as follows. You want your feet to be firmly planted in the ground. You want to be seated at the very edge of whatever chair that you're sitting on. And the cello should be resting on your chest, and you should be able to hold it at the bottom of those C-bouts with your knees. It should be a very comfortable and ergonomic position. So next, let's talk about the strings. First, the highest string, which is the leftmost string, is going to be A. The next string is D, followed by G, and then C, which is the lowest string. As you can tell, I have been plucking the strings. Plucking is also called pizzicato, and when we do pizzicato, we're going to be wanting to use our bow hand and placing it so that way our thumb is on the edge of the fingerboard, and then we use our first finger of our bow hand, pull on the string, and let it go. So moving on to how we use the bow on the instrument. First, you want to make sure that your bow hold is correct. Basically what you do is you take your right hand, place it over the frog, just like this. Your first finger is going to be touching the silvery part of the bow, and then you kind of curl back so you're holding onto the bow. Most of the weight is actually going to be on your pinky, but it should be a very light and relaxed grip. The back of your bow hold should look like this. Your thumb should be curved, and it should be touching the silver part of the frog. So when you flip it over, kind of looks like a claw, like a crab, except you want it to be nice and relaxed and fluid. You can even use a pencil to practice. It's the same exact concept, and you just make your bow hold on the pencil, and you can practice this whenever you want. Now that we have our bow hold figured out, let's start to make some music. In order to make sound on the cello using the bow, we take our bow with our bow hold, put it on the string, and pull. As you could see, as I was pulling, I was making sure to keep the bow parallel to the bridge. You don't want your bow going like this or like that, because that won't make a good sound. You want to make sure that you're pulling, keeping your shoulders nice and low, and then when you pull, just make sure that you're keeping your bow parallel to the bridge. To get the best sound on the instrument, you're going to be wanting to play about an inch lower than where the fingerboard stops. So there are two ways that the bow can move on the instrument. There's the down bow and the up bow. As you can see, two different directions. Those are the only two directions that you will ever use playing the cello. Let's practice doing a down bow and an up bow on each of the strings, starting with the A. Then we're going to go to the D, and notice how my wrist is getting lower when I'm pivoting to the next string. That's exactly what you need to do. And then moving down to the G, again, my wrist is getting lower. It's getting pulled more towards my body. And now for the lowest string, the C. Notice how my wrist is now perpendicular. Now let's play 4 quarter notes on each string, starting with the A, to the D, the G, and then the C. Notice what my arm is doing when I'm moving between these strings. Alright, now to start putting away the cello, the first thing that we are going to do is loosen the bow. Remember how we tightened it? We only used 3 or 4 turns and we went clockwise. Now we're going to turn it counterclockwise towards you, the same amount. About 2 or 3 turns. And we're going to loosen the bow just that you can start seeing individual hairs starting to appear, because you don't want the hair to be too loose. Then once you get the bow nice and loosened up, take it and very carefully put it behind you on your seat. Next, we are going to put the end pin back inside the instrument. So just like before when you took the end pin out, we're going to put the cello right on your lap, then grab the screw, unscrew it, put the end pin slowly back into the instrument, tighten it back up, then put the end pin back on the ground. Next, we are going to put the case back on the cello. So I grab my case, and I want to make sure that I am matching bridge to bow. That is the trick. So you want the bridge of your cello to be going next to the part of the case that has the bow in it. So I take the case, kind of wedge my cello in there, drape it over the scroll, pull it over, and notice how the bridge is right next to the bow. That's exactly where you want it. Zip it up. And now we are ready to put our bow away. Grab your bow, very carefully bring it out from around your chair. We're going tip in Slide it into the bow slot, cover it up, and we're all set. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at 480-827-1111.